Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Oldham County Fiscal Court. I'm David Vogel, Judge Executive. Happy to have you here today for the meeting on, what is today? The 6th day of December already. The year is about to close out, so it's going fast. If you have a cell phone with you, please turn it off or vibrate. And I'd like to ask everyone who's able to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic standing one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to ask Tina Schaff now to please call the roll.
Magistrate Likens. Magistrate Tice.
Here.
Magistrate Greenwell.
Here.
Magistrate Hounds. Here. Magistrate Hawkins. Magistrate Dye. Magistrate Logston. Judge Vogel.
Here. Having 8 of the 9 members of the Fiscal Court present, this meeting is now in session. Before we begin the meeting, I'd like to just take care of a couple items. First of all, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence for a public official who's died in the past week. He's also worked as a consultant for the Fiscal Court. That person is Mel Milburn, civil engineer in our county. Many of you know him. Mel passed away unexpectedly several days ago, and just one great guy. And I'd like to ask for a moment of silence in memory of Mel Milburn. Thank you. I'd also like to welcome a special guest here today, of Jackson Sled with us from the Francis Parker School, the formerly St. Francis School over in Goshen. Jackson is interested in government service. He's also the president of the student body at his school. So thank you for being here today, being interested in county government. One of our magistrates, Chris Hounds, had what we thought was a great idea. And if you look across the wide shot that was on our screen a moment ago, and you can see it in front of Chris now, in front of all of us here today, and those in the room can see a lot of cans out here. And Chris, why don't you go ahead and explain what the idea is and why we're supporting it.
Thanks, Judge. This is a time of year when several organizations create food baskets, and they're always asking for canned good items. And so I thought it'd be really neat to show support for that. And I asked all the magistrates to help contribute to the cause and line up the canned goods all the way across in front of us. And probably not today, but tomorrow, the next day, I'll gather them up and take them to one of the local organizations that will distribute the canned goods through food baskets at Christmas time. And also, the county is doing a food drive. Each individual department, the directors, are going to be collecting food for the next 10 days or so, and then we'll gather that food up. It'll be taken down to the road department, and we'll package it up and split it amongst the places, again, that will use the food for Christmas baskets, food baskets.
Right, a great idea. There are a number of organizations collecting food to help less fortunate in the community at this time of year, and we, as a court, support all of that effort. If you're prone to, let's say, give a check instead of any money, I'm sure any of the groups would accept the money to buy something. I did receive an email today or a letter from a group that the court has supported in the past, and that's the Dare to Care Food Bank. They have several programs going on in Oldham County as well as surrounding counties, and they said a $1 contribution will help them provide 3 meals. So the Dare to Care Food Bank is on Fern Valley Road in Louisville, although they serve the entire region. It's 5308. If you're so inclined to write a check, Dare to Care would be another group that would be happy to hear from you. Well, thank you, Chris, for this idea. I think it's a really good one. Um, Now we'll go on, and I'd like to ask the court to approve the agenda for today. You should have an agenda that was issued today. There were two items on the agenda that some may have come to talk about, but I've deleted those items. That is the swimming the pool discussion and the animal control discussion. I expect to call a special meeting at 11 o'clock on Thursday morning to discuss those two ideas. A substantial amount of county money is involved there. It's near $10 million. I believe the entire fiscal court should be present to accept or reject those bids. Otherwise, we have these items on the agenda. Are there any changes or additions, subtractions that are being suggested?
Should we approve the agenda?
Second. All in favor, please say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll go on now to the payables here, public comment. We have, is there anyone here who came to address the fiscal court about a community issue at this point?
Minutes.
Right, what did I do? Skip minutes, sorry.
Fine
Hang
with
on. Hang on, Kevin. You want to go ahead and read the minutes, Tina? Sorry.
November 15th, 2022, the Oldham County Fiscal Court convened at a regular meeting at 2 p.m. with Judge Executive David Vogel, County Attorney John Carter, and the following magistrates in attendance: Brent Likens, Wayne Tice, Kevin Woosley, Steve Greenwell, Chris Hound, Stephanie Hawkins, Bob Dye, and Michael Logston. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to approve the agenda as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Likens and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to approve the meeting minutes from October 18th, 2022 as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. For a public comment, there was none. County Administration, the payables. Motion made by Magistrate Logston and seconded by Magistrate Woosley to authorize the payment of the payables as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. For community business, the second reading and public hearing of the zoning map amendment for Sanctuary Falls Phase 2. Senior Planner Ryan Fisher presented for a second reading and public hearing ordinance KOC 22930-315, an ordinance relating to a change in the Oldham County zoning map, rezoning 109.4 acres of a tract located at 5601 and 5621 South Highway 1694 Schuler Lane in Prospect, Kentucky, from the existing AG1 agricultural district zoning to R2 residential district zoning classification. Attorney John Talbot from Bardmore Talbot and Roberts P. LLC, 1000 North Hurstbourne Parkway in Louisville, 40223, on behalf of the applicant, presented information on the requested zoning map amendment and development plan. The following people were sworn to speak in favor of the application: Joe Pusatari, owner, Elite Homes, 18401 Bridgemore Lane in Louisville, Kentucky, gave a history of the development built by Elite Homes in Oldham County, and illustrated the type of work done. Gene Gottbreath, 5501 Schuler Lane in Prospect, Kentucky, stated the developer has been receptive to proposed changes by the neighbors. Jason Fairby, 11604 Hidden Creek Road in Prospect, Kentucky, also commented on how accommodating the developer has been. Judge Vogel requested those in opposition of the application be sworn in to speak. There being no one present to speak in opposition, that section of the hearing was closed. The following people responded to questions from the court regarding the traffic study, school bus accessibility, sewer rates, and the possibility of future access to natural gas. Diane Zimmerman, Traffic Engineering, 12803 High Meadows Pike in Prospect, 40059. Joe Pusateri, Kevin Jeffries from the chairman of the Planning Commission, County Engineer Jim Silliman, Attorney John Talbot, and Eric Sin, the engineer from Land Design and Development, 503 Washburn Avenue in Louisville, Kentucky. Attorney John Talbot made a closing statement for the application, and there being no opposition present for a closing statement, the public hearing was closed. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to adopt ordinance KOC 22930-315 relating to a change in the Oldham County zoning map, rezoning 109.4 acres of a tract located at 5601 and 5621 South Highway 1694 Schuler Lane in Prospect from the existing AG1 agricultural district zoning to R2 residential district zoning classification. Discussion followed. Motion carried 8-1. Magistrate Hawkins voted no. For contracts and resolutions, for the dark fiber lease, motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Woosley to approve and authorize the judge executive to sign the dark fiber lease as presented. Motion carried unanimously. The resolution for the Oldham County Fiscal Court bond. Motion made by Magistrate Likens and seconded by Magistrate Woosley to approve resolution number 01111522, a resolution authorizing the execution of a lease agreement among the Oldham County Public Facilities Construction Corporation and the Administration Office of the Courts, authorizing the execution of any other instruments necessary to carry out a plan of long-term financing for the costs associated with construction of an addition to and renovation of the existing court facility located in the county of Oldham, and evidencing the agreement of the county to accept a conveyance of the courthouse facility from the Oldham County Public Facilities Construction Corporation after the retirement of all obligations issued by said corporation to finance said project. Motion carried unanimously. Under committee and recommendations and reports, the Road Committee, Magistrate Dye left the meeting at 3:45. Recommendation to release the erosion control surety for reserve at Fox Run. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Tice upon recommendation of the county engineer to release the $23,200 erosion control surety for the reserve at Fox Run. Motion carried 8-0-1. Magistrate Dye abstained upon his return to the meeting at 3:59. Recommendation to release the performance surety for reserve at Fox Run. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell and seconded by Magistrate Hounds upon recommendation of the county engineer to release the performance bond for the reserve at Fox Run. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell and seconded by Magistrate Logston to accept the reserve at Fox Run roads into the county maintenance system. Motion carried unanimously. For personnel actions, emergency management and dispatch, motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Woosley to approve Jerry Nart's reassignment as Emergency Management Director for $61,800 per year and Jeffrey Bo Glass as Dispatch Director at $71,500 per year, effective November 16th, 2022. Motion carried 8-1. Magistrate Greenwell voted no. The Parks and Recreation, the Road and Judge Executive's Office, Judge Vogel announced the resignation of Kathy Clore effective November 23rd, Matt Jones effective 11/8, and Denise Clark effective November 13th. For public comment, there was none, and motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to adjourn the meeting. Motion carried unanimously, and the meeting adjourned at 4:09 p.m.
You've heard the reading from our minutes on November 15th. Is there a motion to approve?
Moved. Second.
Are there any corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now, at this time, I'm going to ask the indulgence of our studio audience here in the courtroom and also those watching on television. At the beginning of the meeting, I asked for a moment of silence for Mel Milburn, for a former chairman, but current member of our Oldham County Water District. Through my own, short-sightedness, sitting here thinking about there's something else I missed, and I realized that former school superintendent Bob Arvin also passed this way. Bob was a 35-year educator in Oldham County, and a great deal of the success that we have and that we brag about our Oldham County school system is because of the leadership of Bob Arvin during his years as superintendent. So I'd like to ask everyone again for a moment of silence for Dr. Robert Arvin. Thank you, and I apologize for forgetting that earlier in the meeting. Now we'll go on to public comment, the time during our meeting when someone who would like to address the fiscal court is able to do so. And I see Kevin Jeffries coming forward, and he's on this side of the dais today. In January, he's going to replace Magistrate Greenwell, who's not run for re-election, but has had 30 illustrious years in fiscal court, or 20, excuse me. And but Kevin,
30, Judge.
It seems like they're well. Kevin's going to take his place, but Kevin has also been the chairman of our Oldham County Soil Conservation District for a significant amount of time. How many years, Kevin? 39 years. Well, 39 years on that board. Well, we thank you for being interested in soil conservation. It's one of those kind of things a lot of people don't think about till there's something's eroding on their property, but it's extremely important not to have Oldham County washing down the Ohio and Mississippi into the Gulf of Mexico. And so thank you for everything you've done there.
The reason I stopped I wanted to come by this morning, Judge and Magistrate, was just, and you did bring up Dr. Arvin. I just wanted to offer condolences to his family. He served on the Planning Commission with me for several years, and just a great individual. And so I just wanted to publicly, offer condolences to his family, because he has been a great educator and superintendent when Oldham County schools were going through a rough patch and a lot of growth, and he kind of led that effort to get the Oldham County schools to where we can be proud of them, and so I just wanted to offer that, and appreciate you offering a moment of silence for him.
Thank you, Kevin, and I guess this is my day for him. I also want to thank you for serving as chairman of the Planning Commission for how many years has that been?
Well, I've been on the Planning Commission 26 years, I believe, and I've served 12. I believe it's.
Oh, it's chairman. All right. Well, thank you for that service as well. I know, soil conservation came to my mind first, but I know we're going to have a planning commission soon, another meeting. So, all right, thank you for that. Anyone else who would like to address public comment here? All right, seeing no one, we'll close the public comments and we'll go on to the county administration part of the meeting where we have our bills to pay. And is there a motion to accept the bills?
So move. Judge, I have a question.
Discussion here, Magistrate Logston.
I noticed on here, and I should have asked this earlier, the tree consulting along 146. Is that what all the pink flags are there for along the railroad track?
No.
Okay. I didn't know.
CSX is doing something there. Jim Silliman, are you in here? Jim can address what CSX is doing there. I do have some tree planting along 146 plan to replace some of the ornamental trees with red sunset maples. We've received a $16,000 donation from the head trust to help that get done. So, or accomplished. Jim, go ahead.
County engineer, the stakes you're observing.
Is there a microphone out there for you, or?
In here, I don't think it adjusts.
Jay adjusted just a little bit here.
The stakes you've observed on 146 are actually for the railroad, and what they explained to me was that as they've relayed the ballast and the new ties on those areas, in the curves, the train can actually push the railroad tracks home. So they want to make sure that it's not moving horizontally. So they place these stakes so they can measure and ensure that it doesn't move.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. But we are planning on the red sunset maples coming out of Crestwood and in Buckner Mall. Really look good. We have planted a number of ornamental trees along the way, and what I believe is called Kurt Signer's Stretch or something like that. But that stretch is so wide open that those trees are never going to really get to be as big and majestic as the red sunset maples are. So we're going to swap out a few of those trees and plant them somewhere else and put the red sunset maples along in that area. And I do have some advice from an arborist on moving forward with that. So. Are there any other public comments that we'd like to make today? All right, seeing no one, I guess we're in administration actually. So were there any other questions about the bills? All right, all in favor, please say aye. Is anyone opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Now we'll go on to surplus property, and the county treasurer, Melissa Horn, uh, has some vehicles she'd like to dispose of, and we'll let her share that information.
I have 4 vehicles that I would like you to surplus today to Gov Deals for an online auction. There's a 2007 Ford Explorer, 2010 Ford Explorers, and the last vehicle is a 2005 Ford F-350.
Okay. 4 vehicles here. Is there a motion to surplus these vehicles? All right. Any discussion on that? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. I'm going to ask the people in the back row, are you able to hear the speaker at the podium okay? You can now. It's okay. We're adjusting it, trying not to have feedback, but to get it loud enough so everybody can understand clearly what is being said. Now, under community business, we have the second reading of the wrecker ordinance, and that is Magistrate Hounds from Public Safety.
Thank you, Judge. The record ordinance was published. Notification was put in the Oldham. There are 3 minor changes that we'd like to make. Page 2, it should read a properly zoned vehicle storage lot. Page 3B.
Where is that?
Page 3.
2?
I'm sorry, page 2 is the first one.
But where is that?
Definitions, 3/4 of the way down the page.
Towing, vehicle storage.
Storage lot should say a properly zoned vehicle storage.
Okay.
Page 3. 3B. Properly zoned in the beginning of that statement.
3D.
B like boy.
Oh, okay, properly zoned. Okay.
And then page 5, under number 7. And I don't think I wrote that right. It should say company vehicle storage facility. One second. Page 7. Oh, that's a public notice. Again, it's about the vehicle storage. It should say company's vehicle storage facility, page 5-7. No, it's not in our packet, Tina.
Say that again.
Should be under page 5, number 7. Company vehicle storage facility.
Page 5, number 7.
Yeah.
At the company-owned towing storage.
Hey, hold on just one second. There's on the link. Okay. 1 second, Judge. Sorry. Page 5. Any vehicle towed can only be stored at a company's vehicle storage facility instead of it saying towing company storage facility. It should read at a company's vehicle storage facility after the word at on number 7.
All right.
Spoke with Mr. Carter about these before he went out of town, and he said that those changes were insignificant, and he was fine with them.
Mr. Logston.
Point of order. I just want to ask a question. I don't know if it's If we change anything on this document, do we have to have a second reading, or is it significant enough to change it?
Changes were insignificant.
I'll make sure.
Magistrate Logston. Magistrate Hawkins. All right, we'll get it right yet.
Up at page 7, and I asked this during the first reading, G. It says passed, yeah, just at the very top.
Right.
Passed through an executive toes while on the rotation list in a 6-month period.
You're right. It should be 12-month period. The 6
Okay.
should be a 12. You're
Okay.
right. Thank you for catching that.
All right. Anything else on that?
No, sir, not from my end.
Pardon?
No, sir, not from my
All
end.
right. So, is there a motion that from the Public Safety Committee that this proposed ordinance be passed?
Yes, sir, Judge. I'd like to make the motion that we pass ordinance. Get the right KOC number in here. Ordinance number KOC 22-340-317.
Is there a second? All right. Is there any discussion on this? All right, Magistrate Hawkins.
I read in here, now I can't find it. The garage needs to be within the county, is that what I read? And I just kind of wanted to know why that was pertinent, that the towing company would have to be in Oldham County. And then that made me wonder, how many towing companies do we have in Oldham County?
To support Oldham County businesses. We want them to be Oldham County taxpayers if we're going to support Oldham County businesses.
So their garage needs to be in Oldham County. And then does their business need to be registered in Oldham County?
We don't have a business license in Oldham County.
Okay. And how many tow truck companies are there to choose from? And my question was, is that going to be enough?
Currently, there's a number that we currently use, and both all police agencies, all law enforcement agencies agreed to the number.
Okay. Thank you.
Are you saying that the towing company must have some property in Oldham County beyond a properly zoned storage facility?
No, I don't think we're saying that. I think we want. So the rub is this: if someone's vehicle is towed for a potential chargeable offense. I don't know if I'm using the right terms, Chief, or not, but we tow their vehicle. We want to we don't want that person having to go, say, to Fairdale to pick up their personal items out of the vehicle. That's what we're trying to prevent. Insurance companies don't care because they'll pick up the vehicle if it's been involved in a collision. They'll pick it up wherever. They don't have a preference in what county it's in. We're just trying to make sure that the Oldham County resident doesn't have to travel too far to get their personal items or to inspect their vehicle or whatever situation may be.
All right. And under what circumstances can a towing company be taken off this list?
Well, if you go down to suspension revocation, it starts on bottom of page 5 and continues all the way through 3/4 of the way of page 6. There's a whole list of items. Judge, I know we have a motion and a second, and we're in the discussion phase, but I don't know if some members of the audience have just come to hear us speak or if they actually have
We're going to have a public hearing in just a minute.
before we
This is
take
an
the vote.
ordinance, so we'll allow everybody that wants to speak. All right. All of these incidents on here, unless I'm wrong, appear to have something to do with the operation of the towing service. But let's say we have a XYZ towing company in the county that um, I'll just pick something ridiculous out of the air, has an unlicensed tow truck operator, or they fail to pay their property taxes. Are we obligated to ignore anything else that a towing agency may do that is in conflict with the operation of the county services? That we have to ignore that as long as they can have a tow truck and park their a tow in the facility in the county?
I would say, Judge, that under the I'm trying to think what that would fall under. False statements. I don't believe that was addressed in the ordinance per se.
I believe we should have an L added here, one more here that allows the county judge to suspend any towing operation that is in serious conflict with any ordinance or tax or other responsibility that company has, legal responsibility in this county. Uh, I believe I should be allowed to suspend them.
I understand where you're going, Judge, and I don't know that. I don't know if that's a significant change or not to the ordinance. I'm unqualified to make that statement, but I understand where you're going, and I don't know if that changes the complexity or not, or changes the first, second reading or not.
Chief? Yes.
If you look at the purpose of scope, if you go down to C, it says, furthermore, participation in the recreation shall not constitute a property interest or franchise, but rather mere approved license permit participation, and can be canceled anytime with or without cause. So there is a caveat in there where if a towing company that we're doing business with does not come up to what we think they should be doing, they can be canceled with or without cause.
All right. With or without cause.
Or it's in the ordinance, with or without cause. So as far as the ordinance itself goes, we focused on their service and their service as far as clearing the streets and stuff like that. If there are other issues that would be raised with that towing company that could cause fiscal court or the county problem, that is with or without cause.
All right. Thank you. I think that's sufficient. Any other magistrates have anything to weigh in on this right now? And they have a public hearing now. You want me to wait till you want?
Question, Judge.
Yes, sir.
This is the manager of towns. We've talked about this many times about how there's accidents and they always seem to leave the front bumper on the side of the road, and that's supposed to be picked up per this ordinance, correct?
And KRS, that's not in this ordinance. If you read the ordinance, we refer to the KRS, and we talked about that. The chief and I did at great lengths about we put the KRS in there and not regurgitate what was in the KRS, because we felt like then if the KRS changes, then we'd have to go back in and change the ordinance, and we're trying not to keep changing the ordinance.
I thought there was one in here, and all begins to look the same after a while. It says something about picking up, when they do the tow and picking up the trash and such. Wouldn't that cover that? It was the sentence you were just talking about, number 7, I think.
7, that would have been on page, or page 7. There is under G on page 6. It says failure to clean the street of any debris resulting from a collision.
Right. Does that count the plastic bumper front end?
To be debris resulting from the collision.
Oh, that the record companies are going to be required to clean the roadway.
What happens now is it's a joint effort between the fire department and the tow company. We try to work together to get that stuff put in the vehicle. I mean, they typically do take it. I mean, I'm on a rare occasion there may be a piece of something left for whatever reason, but
Right. Normally, actually sweep up the mess.
joint effort between the record driver and the fire department to sweep up the mess. Yes.
Right.
Try to work together to get the roadway open as quickly as possible because we know we're slowing traffic.
Measure Greenwell.
Thank you, Judge. I think that's a good microphone. I think the chief answered my question, but the record list is a rotational list that if you're called today, you won't get called for the next wreck unless the person requests you to come get their car.
It's a rotating list. If you pass within the provisions of the ordinance, then you, in certain conditions, would be the next in line. But I mean, it's designed as a hamster wheel, whatever, or a cake wheel, whatever term you want to use. It's just going to keep spinning until someone gets called or until someone takes it.
Okay, so if you decline when it's your time to be called, and let's say you do that 3 times in a row, is that cause to be taken off the list? Is there a provision for that?
Provision for that, yes.
Okay.
Not off the list, but off that rotation, and then you could be taken off the list.
Declined twice in a 12-month period. I mentioned something about having this, new ordinance requires a public hearing. Are there any individuals who came to speak in favor or in opposition to some aspect of this ordinance as it's been proposed, printed on our website, and the minor changes that were recommended today? Or are you just, I think there's some record people here that just maybe come for information, but we're happy to hear from you if you'd like to say anything. Okay, all right, sure. Even though I know who you are, I'm going to ask you to state your name and address.
Wayne Kincaid with K&S Automotive. Did we decide on the rates, or where's that part of it?
That's on me. I forgot to put the rate sheet in there, but I will send out the rate information, the proposed rate information.
Has it been on the website?
It has not, but it's by resolution, Judge. It's not by ordinance.
Okay.
The rates are going to be a resolution.
Okay, when are we going to present the rates?
I'm going to talk to you about that after the meeting. We may do it Thursday. If not, we would do it at the next.
Okay.
Because this,
I think we have to have, I don't know what's been discussed on this, but Wayne, I don't think the court intends to land on any operator with arbitrary rates. These are rates that the operator should have, I won't say complete say-so, but we're going to think that you're going to be competitive with each other, and we'd like to, I think, have a rate that's agreed upon as a fair rate by the operators. Am I correct on that?
I spoke with Mr. Eldridge about the rates, and what I did is I took the old rate and I added 3% to it since the last time the rate was set, and I believe his comment was the rate was very fair. But I'll make sure you get a copy of the rate sheet, the proposed rate sheet.
All the record services will get a sheet of what the rates are.
Yes. On the form that you're going to fill out from the police department, or the police department's going to ask you to fill out, it will have the agreed upon rates on that form.
It's kind of questionable to us, that missing two times in 12 months and being kicked off the list. You're talking 24 hours a day, year round. You figure those out.
Very often. Okay.
that's a lot to ask for 2 times. I mean, I've missed 2 calls in one day. You know what I'm saying? Because, we all carry mobiles and stuff. And we all want to, most of us been on the regular service for years. And we appreciate the business and we want to be there. But sometimes we're out of the truck, doing another run, don't hear the call. I mean, that's going to be hard to keep up with.
Let's look at that exact wording here again. Where is it?
Missing a week, so. We don't mean to. A lot of times we're on other runs. That's probably going to be tough.
Well, it does say here, a county may suspend if the company determined here, the county may suspend that. May. The word is may. I think this is not intended to be a hard-edged, we're going to, lean on you. Somebody says, hey, I can't make it, got a sick employee, had to pass.
That's a different pass. That's a different pass. Let the chief explain it, because.
Go ahead, Chief.
I understand that when you answer the phone and we say we're busy or kind of make it,
That's not a pass.
It's unexcused.
Unexcused.
Unexcused. So if we call.
Could you step forward a little further, Coach?
So the instrument was unexcused. So if we would call a record service and they don't answer, we make 2 phone calls, they don't answer, we go right to the next one. Now, when they miss that, that's a pass. They go down to the bottom of the list. If those reoccur, then we're going to ask the towing company, why are you missing these things? Now, we're not going to automatically, in my opinion, I wouldn't automatically say you're off the list. I'll give whatever towing company there is a chance to explain why they missed it. But if it persists, the ordinance gives us the opportunity to remove someone who has unexcused passes. Because, this thing is written, this ordinance, the purpose of this is for us to, get streets cleared. Because we hear about from everybody, when we have a wreck, we got to get these streets cleared, we got to get traffic moving, and that's for the purpose of this. So we can't have a company that says, well, it's 20 degrees outside, I can't go, I can't make it. I mean, it has to be excused. That makes sense to you?
Yeah. So, I'll be getting a call from you if you got a problem with me then, right?
Yeah, if there are some issues, I will contact you, or somebody will contact you. But it's not an automatic thing unless it's persistent. And that gives us the authority to remove someone if they're unexcused.
The unexcused is where the problem lies. Just like you said, if you're in the middle of a tow and you don't answer the phone, that's understandable.
You may be busy. You may be busy. When we call you, you may say, look, our record's tied up. We understand that. We'll go to the next one.
All conversation has to take place at the dais so everybody can hear in the room and on television. If you please state your name and address, please.
It's 3201 West Highway 46. One of my concerns was cell phones not answering. Occasionally they do it. I had FirstNet, same as you in the fire department, but I've noticed they still don't always answer every call.
We don't know that, sir. We call you, we don't know that. Couple that someone contact you, so why are you missing this? On the problem, yes,
I have. I'm in the second anymore. I have numbers. I used to do that.
Well, it's our obligation is to contact the vendors that are approved to be on this list. It's the vendor's responsibility to be in contact mode. It's not our responsibility to run people down if they can't be reached on a reasonable basis. We have to go on to the next.
The problem we're dealing with is we don't want to dispatch. If there's a wreck on I-71, this is always the example that we've used. They're taking multiple calls on the wreck. They're trying to get a tow company in there to take care of the roadway so we can get it cleared. Fire department's trying to get through. EMS is getting through. There's a lot of radio traffic. It's super busy. And the issue that we have is if we have to keep calling multiple numbers, one of the things we talked about was going to a single number. It's a very cheap service. You have one number, it will ring up to 5 phones at one time. We're not trying to cut anybody out. We're trying to streamline the process, not only for you, but for our dispatchers too. And again, like you said, we're trying to get the roadway cleared as quickly as possible.
A cell phone I can get, but sometimes I'll get a message and somebody called me and left me a message and it just didn't ring through. So that was a little concern.
Well, we'll do the best we can, and we're going to say we're not looking for reasons to uh, not have you participate. We're just looking to make this be as effective as it can be. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else who would like to address any aspect of this proposed ordinance? All right, seeing no one, we'll close the public comment, and we have a motion and a second on the board. Is there any further comment from the court? Sir.
Before we vote, I want to ask our acting county attorney, does any of these changes constitute we have to redo this as a second reading?
I don't believe so, unless you consider something a substantive change, then you would have to. But if these are minor changes that are being discussed, and I'm not going to define necessarily what that is, you know what a substantive change would be. Complete overhaul, you'd have to have another reading, but I don't believe so today, from what I've heard at this point.
Thank you, sir.
Right, and I might add that these changes bring the wording of the ordinance closer into full understanding with our planning and zoning regulations. You can't have a vehicle storage facility right now on an area that's not properly zoned. I mean, you can't just dump a car anywhere. It's got to be in a properly zoned area. So these really are clarifications, I think, of the wording more than any kind of change. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? All right, motion on the floor and second. All in favor, please say aye. Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item here is our RCS service agreement, Magistrate Hounds and Mr. Boglass, our new dispatch director.
So, Judge, this is a agreement with RCS Communications. There's two different pieces there. First one is the RCS is the service agreement for the point-to-point network for the VHF radio system that we use for dispatch and fire and EMS services. This is in the budget. We're not quite sure why it never got to where it is today, but that's why we're here to ask for that to be signed by the judge, and I'll make that into the motion that we sign the contract with RCS. It's $180 a month, but I talked to the director, and he's going to talk to them about just making that a single payment once a year, an annual payment. There's no point in writing 12 checks. We figure that Ms. Horn would be happier with one instead of 12.
Judge. Got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. I'd like to take this opportunity now to introduce for our community, our newspaper, and also our viewing audience, our new dispatch director, Jeffrey Bo Glass, goes by the Bo is his real, how he's known. He's come to us from the Veterans Administration, the dispatch office, but actually 30 plus years with the dispatch with the Oldham County or Jefferson County Sheriff's Department. Highly skilled and trained individual, and we're very happy to have you on board. And welcome to Oldham County.
Thank you, sir. Glad to be here.
Great. So his first major assignment is to try to ramp up the number of employees at dispatch because we're shorthanded there. How many employees would you say we were looking for?
We're down 3.
All right. And we would take 3 full-time, but we would be glad to
have 4.
Or okay.
Everything works out after the first year, it'd be 3, but we have to get that person on. So
right. But we'd be happy to have some part-time people too. Correct? You all right? Is there a let's say setting existing experience aside, What type of an individual do you think would make a good dispatcher that we would hire and send to training?
Multitasker, doesn't get rattled under pressure. Obviously, some of the things you guys have been talking about, collisions and shutting down 71 and, all types of EMS runs. Anybody that can handle that type of pressure, willing to learn, multitask is important.
Right. We don't want to scare you off when we say multitasking, but because there are people that do this job, do it well. It's not a job you can't learn to do.
Sure.
We do provide 9 weeks of training in Richmond, is it?
Yes, 4 weeks.
Pardon?
4 weeks.
4 weeks.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me. All right, and of course on the job training with our already skilled individuals, and so it's a good position to have. It's a fairly, I think, good salary, and we're looking for people who also have some. How much computer skill would you say you need?
Much more than when I started. Everything now, if you touch a pen and paper, that's going to be a rarity. Everything's done on computers.
Right.
So that's definitely helpful.
It's helpful, but you can learn.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I don't want to discourage anybody who might, hear a little bit, but and we're willing to have you come and see what it is, show you all the equipment, tell you how it works, and give you a chance to be involved if you would like to be a county employee. All right. Welcome. We wish you the best of luck. We're glad you're here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Central Square contract too that we need to.
Go ahead.
So this is an addendum to our CAD vendor, which is Central Square, to add a feed for software. It's a one-time fee, and then there'll be a reoccurring fee after that yearly, which we'll have to budget for. But this is a CAD feed for Central Square to talk with First Two, which is a records management system that the fire departments are using.
All right. Is there a motion to approve this? We have a
motion that the judge sign the contract with Central Square.
All right. Is there a second? All right. Any discussion on this? All in favor, please say aye.
I imagine Logston had a question, Judge.
Sorry. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
When opposed, motion carries. Thank you. All right. And speaking, we're talking about dispatch circumstances. Would you like to bring the community up to date, Magistrate, on what would you say, the dead zone problem we're trying to solve at Crestwood Elementary School?
Centerfield.
I'm sorry.
We've had several meetings with ERS and Motorola Solutions to talk about what seems to be the best option. We actually had the Motorola folks they came in town, and the Oldham County aerial response team flew the drone and showed them some potential locations. Right now, it looks like that we're going to be putting an antenna on top of the water tower that's behind the Ballardsville Firehouse on Highway 53. But we're still in the design phase. We hope to see a preliminary proposal within the next week or two, maybe a little bit longer. And then they will, after they send us a proposal, then they will go full steam ahead. If we preliminarily approve the proposal, they'll finish up the engineering on that system. It will provide us likely with a redundant system, having having antenna at the wave tower and then having a redundant antenna at the water tower at the Ballardsville Firehouse.
All right, we're working on it, and it's going to take a little while yet, but it's coming. We'd also like what we're still also working on, and it's coming. AT&T is on schedule for the build out for the broadband service across the country or county. There are a number of homes being wired. Every day they're wiring and expanding the service. So they have to be finished by the 24th of April, 2024, and they're actually, we believe, ahead of schedule. But you never know how many days it's going to rain or some weather is going to goof up the schedule. But they're doing it, and we're getting it, and people are being served. So I hope you're among them.
Just to add to that, we had our status meeting last week, and they did provide us with some maps of where they plan to be starting the first quarter of 2023. But those maps are subject to change, kind of just what you said with the weather conditions. Uh, but I believe in that meeting, what did they say, that they were 80% done with the engineering, if I remember right? It was pretty close. But they're working with county engineer on the permitting and that they need, and also with the state on the permitting that they need with that. Uh, but it sounds like that they are ahead of schedule.
All right, thank you. Now we have a conference room proposal for our large conference room to put in a audio-visual system there that will allow us to do um, Zoom meetings and other telecommunication with outside vendors. That the way electronics is gone, you can talk to someone in some other part of the country very easily these days, or even in the state or Frankfurt. But Imagine Hounds, would you like to go through this as well?
Yes, sir, Judge. So, with the amount of Zoom meetings and that we were doing in the large conference room, we were using a computer we would set up, and I purchased a USB microphone that we were using, trying to get the best sound that we could. Um, Deputy Judge Nuss and myself met with two vendors and solicited quotes from at least one other vendor, and we would like to use Crawford Entertainment to install video conferencing in the large conference room. And the gist of it is it will have a camera mounted up on the television. There'll be the ability to essentially airplay from a computer if you have a presentation that you want to put on. And there'll be a microphone system built in to the TV cart, and we'll make it hopefully magistrate friendly. Let's use that term, that they can come in and Magistrate Tice will be able to turn it on and make it operational.
Right. And I do believe we've had some discussion over trying to change the seating in the room. Won't say that we're committed to it at this point. We want to discuss it with everybody, but this picture doesn't show it. But we might be able to seat more people at a horseshoe type of table.
That was their suggestion.
But obviously it would take reworking those tables in there or taking them out altogether and coming up with something else. It's also been discussed that we might remove the door, the panel that splits the room in half. I've been here 16 years, but I'll defer to Magistrate Greenwell. Have you ever seen that door, that wall partition open?
No.
So, if we haven't done it in 20 years, it's unlikely we're going to do it in the future. Right. So that's something we might think about, to try to make that room a little more bigger and a little more telegenic or tele something to make it all work better.
Suggestion was made, if we were to make the room into a horseshoe, that the projection of your voice would be towards the television. And the way the room is set up now, you could have your back to the microphone. That would make it difficult for the microphone to pick up your voice if you're pointing in the opposite direction of the microphone.
Right. All right, so we have a motion here on the floor for this. Is there a second? Second. Thank you. Now discussion. Pardon?
Comment, it does say in their proposal that it would be 50% due essentially today and on completion. And we did talk to the contractor on Friday, and they're going to remove that provision when you send the contract back.
Right. We don't pay till we get it. All right. Magistrate Hawkins.
So in the picture, it shows that there's a microphone sitting on what appears as to be a microphone in the middle of the table, but I didn't see one in the scope of work. There's one just on the ceiling?
So when we met with the vendor on Friday, he is proposing setting up essentially a sound bar. We may eliminate the speaker in the ceiling.
leave the tables as they are and have a speaker in the middle, like in the picture? We could.
No, that's not in the proposal.
I know it's not in the proposal, but then we could leave our tables in a square.
Microphone system will be mounted on the television set, and if you have your back to the microphone, then we would not pick up if we go with the sound bar feature.
We initially talked about a microphone coming down from the ceiling, an omnidirectional microphone, pick up everybody. And actually, the health department has the same system, and they do have a ceiling microphone. When the representative from Crawford came last week, he proposed maybe a new innovation here that the microphone be under the television. Well, we're going to check them out, see which one works best for us.
Will that cost more money eventually?
No, but if we go with the soundbar feature, it actually reduces the cost of the project.
We've had one at work where it's right in the middle of the table, comes up from the ground, and then you can have multiple people around the table, and those on the Zoom can hear you very well. That might be a good idea to add to this.
Possible, but you could see the Zoom was going to be, some people are going to have their back to the screen if you don't do it in a horseshoe fashion.
We are trying also to eliminate as many wires as possible. Magistrate Hawkins, if you've seen when I bring in the computer and I've got all the wire, we're trying to eliminate all that. And the microphone system that he talked about putting on the table, when we first talked about it, he said that he did not believe it would give us the coverage because of the ceiling and the size of the building. This Crawford Entertainment, he has a program that he showed us the first meeting where he puts in the parameters of the room, and it basically helps him design what is required to make it work. So that was their design. Our only input has been that we wanted a camera on the TV. We wanted to be able to use as few switches as possible to make it activated, and we wanted to make sure that you could bring in your laptop or whatever if you had to display a presentation on the Zoom meeting.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Did somebody else have something here?
That's something.
Magistrate Logston, did you have a question on this? All right. Well, we have a motion and a second on the floor to go forward with this change. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Is there anyone opposed? Okay. Vote was 7-1. Magistrate Logston voted no. Now personnel items. Ms. Schaaf, you want to go through those from the podium here, or the dial? We have, well, I can take it. We've got 3 changes at dispatch. New hire, Dennis Tegetov, telecommunicator 2, at $24.50 per hour, effective January 1st. Is there a motion to approve, Dennis?
So move.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Status change, Amberly Green, who is going from part-time to full-time, telecommunicator 2 at $24.50 per hour, effective December 7th. All in favor, that's tomorrow. Please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have a termination, Mangan Engel. Is there a motion there?
We don't need a motion, do we? We do for
motion? Yes, I think we do.
11:18. That's already happened.
Or you're right. Well, all in favor, please say aye. All right, thank you. That's. We have planning and development services. Jim Urban has a new hire he'd like to bring on board. Jim, I'll just let you come up and say a word about Brian Fogel. Some people here know him, some don't. We're happy to have him back, I think.
Judge, pretty excited to have Brian come back out to Oldham County. Brian was assistant director when John Black was judge executive. When there were some changes, Joe Shanebackler went to the Chamber of Commerce. Brian became the economic development director for the county, and Jim Urban came on board. So we worked together for many years during that time. grind that went on in Harrison County, Indiana. I guess that's my feedback, maybe. Eventually, he was also assistant director of the planning office in Jeffersonville, Indiana. So, appreciate your support for bringing Brian back here. He's planning on starting next Monday.
Make that motion, Judge.
All right. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Thank you. We have promotion here. Amanda Leach to Community Center Coordinator at $18.24 per hour, effective December 12th. Amanda was at the Park and Rec. She went over to the police department when we had the shortage of individuals there, but she would like to come back and work in the Park and Rec as the Community Center Coordinator, and I'm happy to recommend her.
I'll second it.
All right, moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Motion carries. Thank you. We do have two new hires at the police department. Erica Nybert, Administrative Assistant 2 at $19.75 per hour, effective next week on the 12th. And new hire, Aaron Eden, Administrative Assistant 1 at $18 an hour, effective days, on Thursday, I guess. And is that right?
January 9th.
I'm sorry, wrong. January 9th, sorry. So this will get us back up to full strength here on the administrative people at the police department. The motion to accept these?
Moved. Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. We do have three informational items to announce here, resignations. Joe Dennis has left us as a school resource officer. He was, most of you know, Joe was elected to the board of education, and these two positions are not compatible. So Joe was left, and we thank Joe for his work at Locust Grove and East Oldham Middle. Did a great job for us there, and we're in the mode of trying to replace him at this point. We've also had two police officers announce that they're leaving this month, Justin Flynn and Jordan Herod. They're leaving to work at another department in Jefferson County that I guess has offered them a slightly, better financial opportunity than they had with us. We're very sorry to see these good officers leave, but obviously they feel that the circumstance is best for their families, and so we wish them the best and thank them very much for their service to Oldham County. And we're in the process of hiring another individual right now. Will be coming from Lexington, and we're looking for several more officers to round out our department. So I'm proud of our police department, and I thank everybody who's there working under Chief Smith, and he's doing a great job. So, all right, I think we're at the end of the meeting here, and we'll go around and see if we have any final comments from magistrates. Magistrate Likens.
Nothing today, sir. Thank you.
All right, Magistrate Tice.
Judge, are we going to have a meeting Thursday? Is that what?
Yes, announce the beginning. I'd be announcing a special to the paper and the public. Special call meeting on Thursday, this coming Thursday at 11 o'clock to discuss the recommendation for our pool and the recommendation for our animal services, new animal services building. I believe those would be the only two items on the agenda, but if anything pops up in the next, 12 hours, I guess, we might add to it. But normally on a special call meeting, we only discuss what's on the agenda. But we could add something if there's somebody wants to put something on. Just a second.
The reason I ask is I wanted to take a couple of minutes and go over the pool, not for a decision, just for information, because it was given to all the magistrates in our pamphlets that we got on Friday, and just so that they will have a brief understanding before we come and talk about it on Thursday, so that they got any questions they can ask, or if they're okay. Can I take a couple of minutes to do that?
Sure, go ahead.
For a little bit of short history, on October the 18th, we opened bids for that. That morning, the Parks Committee, which is the pool committee, had our meeting. We did not meeting. We only recessed it following court. Uh, we went back into our meeting after we saw that the price was a lot higher than we anticipated. And what we did is got with our architect, Charles Snyder, who is with Brenstetter and Carroll, and addressed the issue with him. Uh, at that point, he went back and got with the bidders to try to find how come it was so much higher than what he and we had anticipated. Came back with what you call value engineering, or he came back, and our direction to him was, what can we take out of this that without sacrificing any quality, but that could get maybe our price down. He came back to us with a figure of, well, actually, it totals out everything. The original quote in court was $4,570,000, but that was about another $140,000 short, which is the architect's fee. So actually, we were pretty close to $4.8 million. What we've come back with, and what you'll find in your packets, as I'm sure you looked at it before court here, you'll see a total figure of $3 million, and I'm gonna round it off, $800,000. So that's where that figure is, and it'll show that some items have been taken off, and therefore you've got some information going forward for Thursday, and hopefully that will. If you got any questions, we can be prepared to ask them, and hopefully I'll be prepared to answer them. And Charlie may even be here for court so that he can also answer. But I just wanted to do that as a report for the court, so they'll know what's been done up to this point. Thank you.
And we expect our two consultants, Charlie Schneider from Brandstetter Carroll on the pool, and John Stewart on the Animal Services Building, to be here Thursday morning. Okay.
I wanted to say,
Get
that out to all the magistrates.
Thank you, Judge. Today I chaired my last road committee meeting. I've been the chair for 16 years, and just has been a delight doing that because I always got a chance to work with good staff. And so the committee was probably the easiest thing I've done on fiscal court because I had good backup, really, really good backup. So anyway, I just wanted to thank them. I want to wish all of our police officers that are either taking a different job somewhere else or being on the school board, wish them good luck. And a story about Joe Dennis. He was a policeman here in Oldham County, and I would go down to Kenwood Elementary and get ready to drive the bus, and I'd go into the building to get the keys and set the burglar alarm off. So my nephew, who was on dispatch, he and Joe would talk, and Joe would say, "Is somebody breaking in down there?" And he said, "No." He said, "I bet it's my uncle." So anyway, he came down there. We got to know each other because I set the alarm off so many times. And so it was a good relationship between me and a county policeman. Good luck to all of them.
All right. Thank you, Magistrate. Thank you for your service on the road committee. We'll be having a little bit more to say about that later, but we thank you today. Thank you again at the next meeting, and we'll thank you in between those meetings. So, but anyway, a lot of good experience going to retire there. So I'm sure you'll be helping with some advice in the future, as things come up. All right, Magistrate Hounds.
Thank you, Judge. Just first, I'd like to thank the magistrates that participated in the can drive. And we've gotten a lot of support from other employees within Oldham County that have put together boxes of food, and we'll be distributing those on behalf of the county and county employees in the next couple of weeks. Judge mentioned earlier about the AT&T project. I know that this isn't a popular statement to make, but it was made to me a couple of years ago when they were plowing snow. Somebody has to be first. Somebody has to be last. So everybody wants to be first to receive fiber internet if you don't have any fiber at all, and I understand that. And there's going to be some areas that are going to be taken care of first, and there's some areas, unfortunately, that'll be towards the end of the project. The AT&T folks, it sounds like within the next couple months, are going to have a force of trucks in the county laying the fiber, whether it's aerial or below ground, but that just because the fiber is there, maybe crosses in front of your house on the pole, doesn't mean they're going to be able to hook up to it the next day. It's going to take, I think, 30 to 60 days, if I remember right, from the time it basically passes in front of your property. You don't have to take the internet. There'll be three different plans: a 300 by 300, 500 by 500, and a gigabit by gigabit, which is 1,000 by 1,000. You can take any one of those plans that you want, or you don't have to take it. The hopefully that when they start doing these passes, like in a neighborhood, I know there's a neighborhood that they're going to be going into first quarter. They're going to set up and have an event in that neighborhood and invite people to come in and talk about the plans and how you can hook up to the fiber. For those of us that are fortunate enough to have it already, it's really nice. I have about 48 devices on my network between remote switches. Like right now, I can turn off the lights in the kitchen or in the basement that my kids have left on. And with iPads and phones and computers and everything, I have no buffering whatsoever. I've had one instance of downtime, and I don't know what the situation was, but we had a wind event that came through, and it was out for maybe 5 minutes. So hopefully that's going to be what everybody else sees. But fiber is coming. I probably get an email or Facebook message every week. When's it going to be in this neighborhood? And again, it's coming. Next year, you're going to see a lot of AT&T trucks in the area installing the fiber on the poles or putting it in the ground in conduit. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. One other thing. I will say I was on the road committee when I first started as a magistrate, and I don't know if I did a poor job and Magistrate Greenwell got me kicked off or what happened. But I was only on there for about a year and a half. But you always run a tight ship in that committee. We started early or on time, and we ended 5 minutes before court. That's very much appreciative. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Magistrate Hawkins.
I'm glad that Magistrate Tice talked about the pool. I would have liked to have discussed it today, but it sounds like we're going to pick that up on Thursday. And I know people were looking forward to it. So Thursday at 11, it sounds like. And then I just wanted to mention, we mentioned a couple of losses earlier in the meeting. We also lost a student through an incident on 71. And I just want to mention him because anytime we lose a student or a child in the county, it's a terrible situation. So I just wanted to give that a little bit of attention as well. And then I wanted to thank the Public Safety Committee for working on that center field communication issue. That's become an important topic for me. So I just appreciate that, and I'm looking forward to voting on that soon.
Thank you. Magistrate Dye.
Everything today, Judge. Everybody's talked me out.
All right, they'll beat you to the punch. All right. Magistrate Logston.
I want to say thank you, Steve, for being our leader for 16 years of the road department. Well, chairman of the road department.
Before I wind up what I have to say, Magistrate Logston, let me know I skipped the second public comment. Is there anybody here who wanted to make a comment at the end of the meeting here today? Certainly welcome to do so. All right.
Just wanted to thank.
Well, I have to state your name and address.
I'm Jackson Sled. I live 6106 Miss Flower Circle. That's in Prospect. I wanted to thank Judge Vogel, his staff, and everybody on the fiscal court for their hospitality today and providing me with a great experience. Thank you so much.
Right. Now I've had a good chance to spend it. And he's a sharp young man. He's going to do well in life. He's interested in government and public service, and he is the president of the student body at Francis Parker School. And after spending 6-7 hours with you here today, he's heard a lot about what we do, and he has been able to explain things to him, and he's picked up on the insight very quickly. And I think you got a great future. So thank you for coming out here today and the shadowing with me, and meeting all of us. We're happy to meet you. Was there anybody else? I think there was.
Back here,
1704 Mahogany Run Drive. I always hear about the pool. I know that the money turned out higher than you expected. There is a thing in your budget that says ARPA fund appropriations, and there's like $3.8 million in that section, which is yet to be allocated. And as far as what I know about the ARPA is that that's available for tourism and infrastructure projects as well. So I don't know whether you already get the pockets to find where you're going to get the extra money, but please, we really need it. It's been a lot to myself and all my kids and my grandkids, and hundreds of kids go there. Thousands of kids swim every year. It's a great asset. You don't want to be a county without a pool. So, thank you for listening.
And John, your point's well taken. We did get about just about 13 million, I believe, from ARPA funds, and we we committed 8.5 million to the broadband expansion. We're not done yet, so I appreciate what you're saying. You're right. We're gonna come up with something, and we want it to be good.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'm sorry we didn't get to it today, but there's a reason why we're going to have everybody here vote on everything. Okay, thank you. Anyone else for public comment? All right, I'm going to thank you. I've got a few things here. I wanted to thank Jackson for being here. He's a great guy, and I've enjoyed it, and you're welcome back anytime. He did ask me at lunch today, how does somebody get to be county judge? And I said, well, that's a path that is unforeseen by most people who wind up with this job, but good experience on a lot of things in life, and liking people and getting out and being in your community and meeting people. You could be county judge or a magistrate. We need public servant people who are willing to be community servants, and we are servants. We want to work for the betterment of our community with everybody here, and so get involved, and the more you learn, the more you can be. So best wishes to you and your college career as well. Thank you. Light Up LaGrange was great on Saturday. Somebody estimated 10,000 people in downtown LaGrange. It looked great, was nice. Everybody, apparently, the minute the parade ended, the train came. So that was, fortuitous. They got that whole thing over at once, but it was a great night, and I think everybody had a lot of attention and fun. The food drive, Matson Hounds, I think, brought all of this food from Walmart, which is fine. Huh?
Walmart and
Kroger.
Walmart and Kroger.
Okay, okay. Well, I say we got two grocery stores here. We're happy to support them both in every way we can. Go out there and help all the food drives that you become and learn, pick one out and do something for it. We want to be kind at Christmas and all year for that matter. Let's see, I wanted to mention something else here. Jackson did say he watches our YouTube videos. So thank you for that. We're glad we try to have an audience and we want to promote it and so forth. I want to announce that we have a lot of new officials coming into office in January. We will have a public swearing-in ceremony here in this room on Monday, January 2nd at 11 o'clock. All fiscal court magistrates, other public officials who are coming into office on the first day in January will be here, and we welcome everybody's family. We welcome community members who would like to attend. We will have a reception here in our facility after that swearing-in ceremony. So,
Date one more time, Judge.
Monday, January 2nd.
11 a.m.
And let's see. I believe that's everything I have to say for today. So adjourn. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you.
You can put me down as a second for that if you want.